are breaking a bit the reality, but at the same time you always hear these talks in football of like, what if this player would play nowadays? Would David Beckham still be the free kick god nowadays?
And then we're here to talk about career mode. I was wondering why now? Why this year for the kind of big career mode upgrade?
Yeah, so it's it was the right moment, the right time with all the features coming in. So we improved tactics already last year, a bit with tactical vision, but with FCIQ coming in, it felt like a natural fit. Rework player roles, see how more we can fit even coaches into it. But also with Rush coming in, we always knew a big community ask has been to be able to play with the youth players. And when we saw Rush, we started thinking about it, how, for example, in Germany, 5 versus 5 nowadays is such a big topic in youth academy and youth football. Like, this is the perfect moment to make youth players actually playable. So it just felt like everything was falling in the right place. We had enough women's league licenses to finally bring women's league into career mode. So it was like, you can call it the perfect storm, but it was like everything just fitted together this year to do this big update. And at the same time, we all wanted to really do something for the community, like even asks like bringing more countries into youth scouting and so on. Like it just felt like all fell together.
So perfect, yeah. It's one of those like almost every year, if you look in the comments, there'll be a few people saying, what about career mode, what about career mode? It's nice to be able to give them something big, I bet.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it was all the features just fitting together, like bring in women's football where we know youth academy is a way bigger topic in women's football. Was like, okay, let's really, what can we do to make actually youth players playable, to make them look younger, and to really give you that feeling of like, this is my player growing up. Like I have that player since he's 14 years old. He went through the youth academy. I got to try him out and see how he plays, and now he's part of my first squad. So I think that's really something exciting in the game.
Nice. Yeah, it sounds like something to kind of get your teeth into a bit. So it gives you more motivation to kind of stick with it and keep following the players as they kind of grow up, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the first thought we had when we started talking about it is like, there is videos out there of, like 15-year-old Messi, and you go like, wouldn't it be fun to play with him, like with a 15-year-old talented player and try him out and get excited about it? Because we all know, like in real world football, youth is such an exciting thing. Last season, I'm a Frankfurt fan, last season, one player who came from our youth got his first Bundesliga goal. The whole team was celebrating with him, and it was like this feeling of like, this is one of our players that we build up, and it's just exciting.
I imagine there could be a bit of like a transfer market element to it as well. Like if you make a player really good, you might be able to kind of profiteer off them a bit. Yeah. Nice. And I was wondering as well, speaking of, I just mentioned in passing like transfers there, I want to ask you, how did you get Fabrizio Romano into the game? Such like a fun little detail in the announcement.
Yeah, it was just, like, again, he's also someone who's excited about the game. We heard the rumors also, we saw the rumors over years of like, will he one day join and working with us? And just this year again, with us redoing the whole menu, bringing social media into the game, it felt like now is the moment to really try and work together. Like bringing social media, like having the social media feature where there's transfer talks about how the season is going. And it was like with even other media partners that we're starting to bring in, like The Athletic. It just felt like now is the moment to really focus on bringing these media partners in. And Fabrizio Romano, like he was excited about it. He loves the game. So it was just the perfect fit. And again, like you said, it's a fun little detail, but it's fun to see all the transfers happening and seeing him announce it with "Here we go." So it's really fun.
Yeah, how does it kind of work in the game? Like, is there any? I mean, Fabrizio never really seems to get it wrong, which is good. So you could just base it on transfers that are actually happening. But will there be any like that kind of pre here we go kind of rumors stage of like social media as well?
Yeah, we also have rumors in the game. So you might read, players, managers, or agents are talking to other clubs, or there's a rumor that this team might be interested in a player from another team. So he also does rumors, and then you will even have that later on. He might have as first talked about, confirmed. So we have even that in, because I wanted to bring this in also, the fun of, not only seeing transfers, but also seeing the rumors of what's going on in football, which is really fun.
And I guess not all rumors come true like in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. And I know they said, I think it was in the preview event maybe, I know they said, you're looking at other kind of media personalities or outlets that could maybe appear in the game. Is that still kind of shrouded in secrecy, nothing to confirm on that side, or is there anything you can kind of
So we recently confirmed the Athletic as a new partner. Others are still, we have signed more, but others are still not revealed yet, but there will be reveals in the future coming. So I can say look out for media partners in the football world that you could look for announcements. But yeah, we basically wanted to bring the real world in, and I think when players see the final game, they will see we're covering a lot of media partners there. But yeah, the Athletic was another one we were really excited about to bring in.
Yeah, I mean the Athletic is just so great, like such like a deep level of reporting into everything. That'd be really interesting to see like how they're represented as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. And I was wondering if you had kind of, with all these changes coming in, I was wondering if you had any kind of general tips or tricks for players as they jump into career mode this year.
So one is definitely, customize it to your own liking. So with us bringing in the new customization options, really make it how you would enjoy career mode. So if you're a player who says like, I like scouting in general, but I don't want to spend a week to wait for the results, I want them immediately, you now can do that. So if you want to know immediately the top players OVR, you can. But also if you feel like, hey, training is something I don't enjoy doing, so you can turn it off, or you maybe enjoy it and want it more realistic. So basically what the tips are, if you want a more realistic career mode, go into the settings, put it on simulation settings, put transfers on realistic, the opponents will be way harder to negotiate with, put training plans on realistic where the recovery rate is similar, is like really slower, or if you want just a fun casual mode without thinking of all these things, make it that way. So that's the first. The other is there might be some interesting talents in my home team club, like Eintracht Frankfurt has a really young prospect named Can Uzun, who's an 18-year-old prospect who might be really interesting to play with. And just the other one is really invest in the youth tournaments and play the youth tournaments. You will see amazing growth of the players, and it's really fun to play with.
As you kind of pre-answered my next question, I was going to ask about Wonder Kids, which kind of always loads of interest in who are the best young players. You've mentioned one there. Any others that you kind of recommend having an eye on?
So I can, but the other one is with us bringing in 90 more countries in youth scouting, like really try to think about who could be, interesting areas for youth players, like where could an interesting striker come from. So we reworked also a bit in youth scouting, which players are where, which positions are really interesting. So that's the other tip I can give, like think about who might be interesting, and don't always go for the obvious, because we all know if I want a striker I can go to Brazil, but maybe there's some African countries that are really interesting to scout for strikers, so that maybe as a hint where you can find interesting players.
Nice. One young player who there was a lot of interest in this year was Lamine Yamal from Spain, from Barcelona, from the Euros. I know last year I understand he was kind of too young to kind of be in a lot of the games modes, and he kind of appeared in the Euros modes. Am I right in assuming that now that he's 17, he's kind of fair game, he's in the game?
Yeah, he will be in the game, yeah.
Nice, yeah, I imagine he'll be quite a popular pick as well.
Yeah, he will, I think he will be a transfer target for many people.
I guess because he is so young, he must have like quite a high ceiling on him as well, I guess, yeah. I was wondering as well, with career mode, you mentioned during the announcements and things, the option now to play with kind of iconic players from the past, and David Beckham was one of them that was mentioned. What's kind of the thinking behind that? Because it does kind of make it slightly more of a fantasy kind of thing, but what kind of made you decide to do that?
So exactly, we knew we are breaking a bit the reality, but at the same time you always hear these talks in football of like, what if this player would play nowadays? Would David Beckham still be the free kick god nowadays? Or is it, like, what if R9 would play nowadays? Who would be better, Mbappe or R9? so these kind of questions, we were like, wouldn't that be fun to try out and play with those players? We know people enjoy icons in general. So that was just the idea behind it, make it something fun, something light-hearted, which is also why we're updating through the year which icons are coming into the game, just for you to try out. We believe some people might play 10 seasons with them, some might only play one season and try them out, but it was just a fun addition to do, and we also bringing back a little bit the love for football and for those icons, and like just answering questions like, what if Harry Kane would play, I don't know, with Gerd Müller together in Bayern's attack, what would it look like?
Nice. And with the icons, do they kind of start at their prime, or do they start a bit before?
So there will be different ones. So right now at the start it is kind of in their prime, not complete their prime. Some of them are like in the middle of getting to their prime, but there will be others in the future coming which might be, you know, a young version of themselves and so on. So we will try out different ones.
Nice. Another fun idea I mentioned, correct me if I'm remembering it slightly wrong, is there's going to be these kind of snapshot moments where you can kind of jump into a career, just say like just after a manager gets let go in real life or something like that. I think that's a really fun idea. I think that will drive more people to kind of dip in and out to different seasons rather than, like, 'cause I'm a Spurs fan, I'll do a Spurs career and not really do anything else. If it's like, oh, that seems like a fun challenge, like say if Pep leaves or something, to kind of go in and take over there, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So we saw some of the things happening last season, like Girona leading La Liga for a while, Bayer Leverkusen going for the invincible season. And these are things that we know players want to recreate in career mode. And usually it's like you had to start from the beginning of the season, but wouldn't it be fun to try that out? Like, okay, Girona is right now leading La Liga. I will now jump in and try to win the title with them from that moment. Or, you know, you have some big transfers happening. Usually you had to, like in the winter break, the big transfers coming in. Usually you had to go back to the beginning of the season, start from there. But wouldn't it be fun to take over from that moment and see where you can take the job? So that's how it basically came to be as an idea.
Yeah, that would be cool. Could you do it like with the player career as well? Like you could play as a player just as they've arrived?
It's also in player career, yes. So we also have it in player career. For example, if a striker is going for, you know, the golden boot, you could say like, okay, I want to now play as that striker and go for the golden boot.
Nice, that sounds really fun. It sounds like there's a lot going on. Is there anything that I've forgotten to mention, kind of new career mode stuff?
No, like, I mean, the one thing we can mention is women's career, of course, as a big one. So women's career coming in and also bringing in a new way of playing career mode. Again, it's the same features, but just the difference in financials, the difference in how transfers work, a bigger focus on youth, I think will be really exciting. And also, it's, you know, bringing new leagues, new faces into the game. And it's a shared world, so you can switch between men's and women's career anytime you want, which will be really exciting.
Definitely, and yeah, it's interesting you mentioned like say kind of the financial realities of the women's game as well. That would be really interesting. Like, say you've done really well in like a men's career, and then you know you get the offer, do you want to take over a women's team or something like that? It'd be interesting then try and go from having all these bags of money to trying to make do with like it sounds like a different kind of challenge.
Exactly, it's a different kind of challenge. We also worked with former players together, like we worked with Nicole Baxter, we worked with Simone Lauder, to make sure we get the financials right, because like we are fans of women's football, but we're not the experts, but former players are the experts who can tell us this is the reality we're facing. That's something we wanted to get really right in the game.
Nice, amazing. Well, I think it all sounds really great, and yeah, good luck with the launch and have a great week here, and thanks for talking to me today.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thank you.